my times are synced, we'll be just about ready here. I'll check when, double check when Facebook goes live. Yes, there it was right on time. Okay, I think we're up and running. Let me double check everything. Yep, that's good. That's good. I'll come back here. The tweet went out. We're up on. All right. Welcome to the New Media Show. We're back.
Doing the New Media Show again.
People are actually going to listen to this junk.
We do it live.
We're live right now.
We'll just do it live.
We're going live. We're going live. We just can't get enough. The New Media Show.
Let's go.
Just do it live.
We're going live. We're going live.
Bada bing, bada boom.
The New Media Show. We do it live.
Just do it live.
We're going live. We're going live. We're going live. The New Media Show. I'm like Adam Curry, and you're more like John C. Dvorak.
I think I am Adam Curry, and you're the old curmudgeon.
We do it live. Doing the New Media Show again.
The New Media Show.
Technology.
Whew. We make it sound so special. Hey,
yeah,
we're
we
on.
do. We
Hey.
make it sound special,
Yes,
don't we, Todd?
yes, we do. Everybody, welcome to the New Media Show. Hope you enjoyed that little fun intro. Of course, you're back with the Todd and Rob Show. How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you, Lee Laporte. Lee Laputte. Sorry. Yes. I know I said it right.
So,
Thank you so much for sending through, and I think we have a few more to play today too.
yeah,
Right.
they could end up being dangerous.
Yes,
some of these
very
could be dangerous. So we'll play them as they become optional if we get through content that makes sense to do so. But
Right.
anyway, I'm going to be honest with you, Rob. I said the last show, I love having my Saturdays back.
Well, hopefully our long-term listeners are happy to have their Saturdays back too. So
Yeah,
hopefully.
it's been quite remarkable the amount of stuff I've been able to get done. But I didn't do my personal show on Monday. I was just so crushed. I was here in the office until like 9:00.
Wow.
And in the podcasting space, not busy at all,
No, not at all.
but
Yeah.
lots of interesting. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. We'll talk about that here in a second, of course. But I'm having media buyer calls again, and they just don't understand that $12 CPM is not going to get it, and
Right.
and they don't understand that remnant. There's no such thing as remnant inventory,
Podcasting. Right.
and we only want to run 2 episodes a month, and nope, we can't meet your minimum budget requirements, but you still want us to put a proposal together. I'll say it again. It's the media buyers that are spending small amounts of money and being very picky on format and placement, and they're more trouble than they're worth.
All right. That's too bad.
It is too bad. So, 12 net is what she wanted. And I'm like, no.
It does. It puts you in a position where you kind of have to say no. We're absolutely. You have to put your foot down, right? Because the more people that just accept things like that, it devalues the medium, right?
And I understand you're under pressure by your advertiser.
Right.
But I'm sorry, that's not my problem.
Right.
And if I go to podcasters and say, hey, we got a $12 CPM deal for you. Oh, and that's before the split.
Right.
The answer is going to be no.
Well, and the other side of this too, I don't think we've mentioned, is to some degree, I think subscriptions is going to compete with advertising to some degree for the attention of the podcaster.
Well,
I
they
some
start
podcasters
offering,
are not even going to aspire for advertising models. I
And-
don't think.
and then they threw an additional crux out there
Mm-hmm.
that if the podcast is smaller than 35,000 episodes per download, we're going to do revenue share. We're going to give them 20% of revenue earned on sale.
Oh, on the direct response stuff.
Right. And I'm just like, when is anyone going to get the memo that most podcasters are not doing rev share or rev based or, doing that type of a deal? It's basically a commission junction style ad deal, and there's no risk to the advertiser whatsoever,
Right.
and there's no guarantee of payment.
I mean, that's the core problem with affiliate campaigns in podcasting or direct response campaigns, is that you're giving away all the branding side of what you're doing with that advertiser in hopes of getting a conversion that you get paid out of.
Don't get me, if the CPM's high enough, it's worth it.
It can be, right.
Yeah.
But it can also be, if it's not, then you're giving away a lot of value to that brand, and you're not getting anything for it. And I ran into this problem with my radio show too.
The media buyer wanted no DIA either. They wanted host read that would remain forever.
On top of it. Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, give me $30 CPM and we find shows that don't have long tail, then we'll run your ads and it'll stay in there forever for shows that don't have long tail.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, and I'm not going to do, no. I said at $12 CPM, I said, I'm not managing 50 promo codes either. We're doing one. Because administrative work on my side goes up.
I mean, $12 CPMs, that's getting into the programmatic.
Yeah. And you want to host red at 12?
Right.
Give me give me a 30-second ad spot that I can run wherever. No placement requirements.
And no effort on the host part.
That's right.
Too.
No effort on the host part. Just run the 30-second spot and be done with it.
Yeah.
And then we can maybe then we can talk. But
right. Those are the kind of campaigns that should be run through a programmatic, dynamic type of relationship where they come and go too, not permanent.
Right.
Embedded.
Right.
Right.
So I was just a little frustrated with I set the time, set the call, and I got off, and I have a Slack channel called Rant. I said, well, there was 30 minutes of my day. Yeah, I want to talk to media buyers, but don't come to me and deal with that. At the end, I said, well, you should reach out to podcasters individually. Well, that's too much work. Of course, it's too much work.
It is.
It is
a lot of work. Yeah.
And, good luck getting them to agree to 12. Now, maybe some podcasters listen to this and be happy. I'll take 12, Todd. But if you think about the work you as a podcaster have to do, and you're going to get, that's not 12 you take. That's before the split.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So it depends on what that split is too.
Could be 30 or 50%, depending on what status you have with us.
Wow.
Most of folks are at 30.
Yeah.
But
there are some networks that are at 50 out there. Some are at 60, some are at 30, some are at 85. That's the range.
And the media buyer was complaining to me that certain networks wouldn't work with them. And I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You might be adding me to the list as well.
Right.
Because it's a tough economy right now. I'm like, it doesn't change the value. And surprisingly, the person did get to understand the value of smaller shows, so didn't have a problem advertising on smaller shows, but wanted to do the 20% rev share or something. I was like, come on.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Here's the thing. They've been advertising pods. I have RFPs that I did for them over 10 years ago. Actually, I went looking
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I did RFPs for you guys more than 10 years ago, and you guys never executed on those RFPs. Probably was too expensive then.
Yeah.
So if you got an ad deal, come on, I'll talk to you, but don't come to me with 12. We can
Right.
start at 20 or 25.
Yeah, I think that's a better place, right?
And
Even
prefer
that's low
even
these
slow.
days.
Even 30 or 35 is more like normal.
Yeah.
So
Right. It's been going up
yeah.
the last year and a half. Yeah, 2 years.
So anyway, you've been
Yep.
busy, I hear.
Well, just stuff going on, trying to keep up with all the stuff. We got the Ambies coming up on the 16th of May.
Getting ready to go out to LA, are you?
Yep, I'm going to go out to LA. It's my first trip.
Enjoy wearing a mask for like your 8 hours of flight. It's
Right. Yeah. Yep. That's I guess it's the law, right, Todd?
well,
But-
here's the key, Rob. It's not so bad that you're wearing a mask. Make sure you have 3 or 4 so
Yeah.
you can change out
You can change them out
for
right?
both ways, because you travel for a few hours and it starts getting a little
Yeah. Right.
change one out. So yeah,
And throw it in the garbage. Yeah.
well, you may want to wash it. I have masks that you can wash. So I have. of course,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going.
I mean, if you have fabric ones,
Yeah.
I've got those black surgical ones that you just throw away.
Yeah. So, but you're gonna, you spend 2 or 3 hours at the airport, 5 hours in the airplane, couple hours getting into the hotel, and yeah.
I mean, if you want to get back out there and travel these days, you got to. I think you got to do those things.
Yeah,
to some degree.
it's not a bad thing. It's just you got to don't go with one because you're going to be hating life.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, some parts of the country, I'm sure, are once you get off the plane, it's like freedom.
Yeah. So
but-
you're going to the Ambies on, you said what date?
Well, actually, the Ambies are actually on May 16th. The event starts at 4:30 Pacific
Okay.
as a live kind of pre-event, and then at 5 p.m. Pacific is when the actual Ambie Awards start.
We may have to shift the show the week of the 17th because I'm going to be leaving for Honolulu on the 19th, going out for my son's graduation, which is the 21st, and then flying back on the 26th. So there'll be a couple of days there we may have to shift a little bit and do the show a little different. But
we can do something
yep.
different, right?
So I'll be
We need to.
So next week the 12th will be normal, and then the following 2 weeks we'll have to figure something else out. But
yeah, I hope to have on the 12th Mr. Dan Franks from Podcast Movement to join us.
Cool.
To talk about what's coming.
Podcast
Movement.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Dan Franks.
Talking about Mr. Danny Boy.
Dan Franks. We're talking about Dan Franks.
Yeah, baby.
So anyway, yeah, baby. So
Dan will enjoy that next Wednesday as we play that just prior to we introduce him.
So if he's on next week, then the 12th, that's great. I did get my notification today that my session has been approved at Podcast Movement. So I do know I have at least once. Well, I have.
We're doing this show live on stage.
Yeah,
too.
and then I have a session I'm doing as well. So.
And I may be doing a Podcast Academy session too.
Okay.
So be going on there.
So going back to the Ambies then, so what exactly are you doing at the Ambies? Are you walking out on the stage? Are you being the host, or what? What are?
No, I'm not being the host. I'm going to be presenting one of the Governor Awards that will be presented to a podcast. I don't know that I can announce it yet because I'm not sure it's been publicly announced yet, but it's basically an indie podcast. It's being done by a group of teenagers.
Oh.
So they've been doing a terrific job in the podcasting space, but I'll let the Podcast Academy
You might have
at Thunder.
you may
as
have
far
gave it
as
may have gave it
which,
away. That's probably a pretty narrow group.
yeah, well, actually, if you look at the numbers, right, from the research, that age group is getting pretty heavily involved in podcasting. So it's part of, to some degree, that's why bringing some focus on this, making the Ambies a little bit more of a younger oriented type of an event. And also, take into account the full spectrum of this medium from a diversity standpoint and from a age and demographic and gender standpoint is really the big thing that is going to really stand out from this event. I mean, if you really think about podcasting and how diverse it is already, we're just trying to reflect what's going on in the medium.
Yep.
So, yep. So I'm excited about it. I want to be there. There's not going to be very many people live at the stage, at the live stage. There's only going to be like 14 of us.
Wow.
Dan Franks and team is producing it. So it's a Podcast Movement Productions.
Aha. So
Go
that'd
ahead.
be nice. Well, is it going to be live streamed or what's the story?
Yeah. It's going to be live. Not unlike what you've seen with the Academy or the Grammys or anything like that.
They need to get the embed code out there so we can start getting it put on websites and promoting it and links to it.
Well, that's the next stage. We just had a board meeting just prior to this show, and so all the pieces are coming together, all the presenters and everybody. I think there's only going to be one show that's going to get an award that isn't going to be able to make it in some way or another. So I think that's pretty good success.
Registration for my awards has been going good. For those of you that aren't aware, podcastawards.com. It'll start ramping up here soon, probably in middle of the month, June, because I think we open nominations on July 1st. So things will start ramping up here pretty quickly.
So what time frame are you looking at of giving out that award?
Well, that award, that actual ceremony has happened on International Podcast Day. So the timeline...
That would be in September, right?
Yeah, so I give you the exact timeline here. On July 1st is the listener nomination period for the whole month of July.
Mm-hmm.
And then slate announcement is on August 8th. And then slate voting is from August 9th to September 13th. And then the ceremony is on International Podcast Day on September 30th.
Okay.
At 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I don't know what day of the month that fall. Or I have to look at the map. September 30th this year is on a Thursday. So it's kind of weird, with the calendar shift and everything.
Well, that's good. It won't get in the way of this show.
No, it won't. So but anyway, it's timeline is in progress, pretty much laid out. So in all our new categories this year, the jury's still out whether or not we'll get enough registrations to pay for all that. But I still have trophies stuck going to UK. I had 1 of 4 trophies that have not yet been delivered 3 of the 4 that were going to the UK. The U.S. mail system right now is totally jacked. Totally.
Did they like bind it up in customs or something? Or?
2 of them are in Chicago. Have been there for a month, and then one of them said it was in Chicago, and then got delivered. It's crazy. I mean, and those are very, very expensive trophies. So, and $85 to ship them to the UK. So,
wow,
it's not inexpensive. So we'll see what happens here. I may have to do something different next year for any international trophies. I don't know how the ship them FedEx internationally is insane.
Well, Todd, hopefully in the next week or so, all these issues with Apple Podcasts will get resolved, right?
Well, they've took it on the chin pretty bad on this go around. They've been getting face planted by a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't a good look for Apple over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
So
there's one outspoken person.
How dare you?
James Cridlin.
those are so handy.
He's been hammering them, almost every newsletter. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the latest one is that the Apple 4.5 podcast app has changed the way it displays episode notes. I
well,
guess,
it was great for a little while. I was pretty happy. Remember, we talked about it on the show.
I know.
And then I went and looked at it when I saw the newsletter, Tim. Like, what changed? Where did they make the update?
There's no HTML links
No,
anymore.
it went
Right.
away.
Yeah.
Initially, there was, and that's because remember I was bragging on the show how it looked great, and I went back today and I'm like, "There's no links no more. There used to be links there."
That was probably a security risk for them,
And what's weird is,
which is bad because a lot of people do good things with that stuff. Yeah.
and I've got one malformed href in the last show notes, and I don't get it.
Yeah, so you can't link to PDFs or transcripts or anything anymore.
No. So is that a bug that you guys introduced, Apple? Or they wouldn't have got affected, though. They wouldn't have got... It's not a security bug because it's not on Apple.com. It just goes from the...
It just launches a
browser window, yeah.
Or another app or something like that.
So I don't know. It just, it went backwards. It was when I first saw it, I'm like, they fixed it. It works. I was very excited. And then boom. And then
boom.
No one's going to
That's
put raw HTTPS code on their website. Not for Apple. No way.
Right.
That's the way around it, is to make just put the raw HTTPS. I'm not doing that.
Right.
So come back to the website and get the links. That's the key. So not that I...
Yeah. That's the key right there. It makes your website even more important.
Right.
That's what it does.
So we haven't gotten a lot of... And of course, they increased the number of shows it could be in a feed to 2,000 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't even say that out loud on the show.
Why?
Because everyone's going to be switching their feeds to 2,000.
Well, how many shows have 2,000?
Well,
There's a few.
I've got 1,500 and some.
Yeah.
452 today on this show.
Right.
So, but still, I wouldn't have 452 episodes in my podcast feed
Anyway.
But
It just makes the feed so huge.
But Rob, podcast, they don't understand the animal they have released. Because you and I understand this, but every other podcaster, they're going to want their whole library.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, someone's saying shh in the...
And it does help if you want to move podcast hosts to have all your episodes there. So,
Well, we have never had that problem anyway, because we already had their list. We've had all their past episodes anyway, but that's true.
Yeah. I mean, you can turn it on to have it display for a short period of time.
Well, in our database, we had all their episodes anyway, so...
Oh, yeah. As far as that goes.
Yeah, but...
one advantage of having your own directory.
Right. But I wish you guys would not have done that.
Yeah.
Really, be honest with you, because
Well, I mean, 1,000 episodes probably, but 2,000s, yeah.
And they're not hitting and people are now really complaining that their episodes aren't updating as quickly. It's because they're no longer direct. Because now, no longer when you follow someone, it's relying on the Apple library to update the listing. It's no longer updating from the actual original feed, which that's bad. And also,
I ran into this problem too when I was working on Zune. When a person subscribes, it basically passed that URL, that feed URL, over into the library, right?
Yeah.
So it separated itself from the directory is what it did.
Well, not now on Apple. Apple is
Right.
tied to the directory.
They brought it together, which I appreciate that. I think if it can be done with performance, the proper performance that's necessary, of updating the episodes there, because Apple has proven to be a little slow on updating the episodes in the directory. But if you subscribe to it and it's over in your library, you pretty much get the updates instantaneously because it's in the RSS feed.
But not anymore.
Right.
So that's another thing that distressed me. And has anybody figured out how to add an RSS feed to Apple Podcast 14.5? To manually add a show?
I think I saw it in there. I think it's in the settings area.
So it's in the settings. I'm going to browse.
I believe that is the case. So.
Oh, yeah. So there is an add a show by URL under edit and library.
Right.
So I still can. Okay. So I stand corrected there. At least you can still do that.
I mean, I think you would have to have that if you wanted to, if Apple was going to support any external premium feeds, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Yeah. So you can add a show by URL right there in the edit area in your library. So, yeah. And I think that's an important feature to maintain in there.
So, Rob, we're going to have to ask for some reviews because the new media show
on our show here, right?
Yeah, we don't ever ask for reviews, but we would definitely appreciate some reviews.
Yeah, no, it's always good to hear from listeners and what they think about the show, especially the last few episodes of the show.
Because our rating is down to 3.8. We have a number of 1-star reviews. So, yep. Yeah. Some people don't like our opinion, though. And when we give our opinion, they give us a 1-star because of our opinion. So I don't ever beg for reviews, but if you guys love the show, go over to the Apple Podcast and give us a review.
Yeah, right. And I think you can also just put stars in there too. I don't think you have to actually write something, but it's always great to.
And remember, we have 2 feeds. We have a video feed and the audio feed. So give us a 5 on each. I actually had a request for a interview, and in their questionnaire it said, "Will you give this show a 5-star review?" And I thought, I haven't been even interviewed with you, and you're asking me to give you a 5-star review? That's pretty audacious.
Yeah, well,
so
I guess it's a value exchange, Todd.
Right? Yeah, value better be good for value. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Did I tell you on the last show that the cats are no longer here? They're back at the loft.
So you were tired of them walking across your keyboard and your mixers?
No, they did.
Your settings?
They did $220 worth of destruction to my soundproofing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They found that was the perfect cat scratch material.
Oh, they did.
So the new panels arrived. It's an eyesore. I'm usually the only one here, but I'm looking at it and I can hardly contain myself. I see it and I'm like, oh my God, look at that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I did notice that there is one more podcast hosting platform that is supporting subscriptions, and it's one out of Spain, Evox, which has been around a long time. So I guess they've been supporting subscriptions for quite a while now.
PowerPress integration with membership plugins have been supported for 10 years.
Right.
So
it's not, I think a lot of people are all spun up about subscriptions. It's certainly nothing new.
Nothing new.
It's the only thing that's new is that it's being front faced on the big platforms.
Right. So, matter of fact, a large number, we probably get 2 or 3 support requests a week telling us which plugin we should use to utilize, because there's five different membership plugins out there that primarily used, and they want us to endorse one, and we don't necessarily endorse one. And we just tell people which one is used the most.
Right.
And
well, Todd, did you know that the last couple of days, the IAB upfronts have been going?
I've heard nothing come out of those. Have you?
Well, it's catering to a very specific audience, right? It's catering to ad buyers primarily, and a variety of different networks and platforms are presenting shows over there to get people interested in buying ads. But I mean, that is kind of like the go-to event for the industry is the IAB upfronts. It's basic. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of like what Hollywood does with TV shows around getting advertisers. They present shows that are coming up in the new season that advertisers can get excited about, and it's a little bit of what they call a dog and pony show,
right,
to some degree, to get people excited about new shows coming to the popular networks, and that's going on. I believe it ends today or tomorrow, one of the two. So, yeah.
And I know there's been some attempt to do some sort of upfront on a more indie scale as well.
Yeah, I think the X Fronts was the one most recently.
And I don't know if that actually happened or not, or if it's being planned.
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm. It did. I actually watched some of it. Yeah.
How was it?
I thought it was done pretty well. I mean, there's always a lot of variability between each of the networks and how they present.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, what happens at a podcast awards event, right? There's various presenters or whatever that have, better or less than presentations of what they're doing. But I believe each time they hold one of these events, I think they're getting better. I think the networks are getting more refined in what they're doing and driving more value to the attendees. And I think it's interesting, and I think that's the direction going forward, is that I think as we come out of this COVID thing, hopefully we continue to come out of it, that we're going to see more hybrid events. And I know when we have Dan Franks on next Wednesday, I know Podcast Movement in Nashville is going to have a strong kind of bifurcation, or whatever you want to call it, split between, it's going to have a strong virtual event as well as the in-person event going on simultaneously. So I think that's a trend looking to the future.
So I do want to make a mention here, and let's give an introduction first, see if I'm pushing the right button.
Tom Webster had a great point. Huh? Wait, what? That phrase makes me nervous.
So the phrase doesn't make me nervous.
Dave Jackson.
The phrase doesn't make me nervous, but Tom put out a great article. And Tom is definitely a longtime listener of this show. Matter of fact, he mentioned something about me a long time ago. He said he was listening to the show, not necessarily this show. I think he was listening to the Tech Show first. But anyway, he wrote an article called The Provenance. This is when someone reuses the word provenance, that's going to be good, right? The provenance of podcasting. And I thought, this is interesting. Provenance of podcasting. And as I'm reading through this, yes, great, awesome, fantastic. I'm like, right on. Brother from another mother, absolutely fantastic. Wow. And then I get to the point where it talks about the provenance and power of owning your RSS feed is also something to think about when considering the importance of both Apple and Spotify introducing a subscription layer to their platform. Isn't that just something?
Wow. Yeah.
So,
well,
you have
there is something to be said here for, a syndication strategy with your subscription process too, right?
The example he gives is you have a single RSS feed now, which powers almost every vending machine in existence to carry your brand of soda. Imagine starting your podcast back in 2004 like Leo Laporte did. Of course, he couldn't use my name there. And having a single RSS feed that stretches back nearly 1,800 episodes in 17 years, and Zeus knows how many subscribers. Now imagine putting that show behind a subscription wallet, Apple or Spotify. You're literally starting from zero. No shows, no subscribers. You don't host the media. So he's really putting it to him. If you leave Apple or Spotify, or they leave you for whatever reason, the provenance of that content is not yours. You don't take your Spotify followers with you. You don't take your Apple subscribers with you. You don't even use RSS to populate your Apple subscription content. It's done with their proprietary tool, Apple Podcast Connect, which has been really reliable. There will be multiple versions of your content and multiple chains of custody across platform, and who knows what else is going to emerge over the next several years. One assumes there will be a Google answer to this for Android. So now I'm not one of those you can pry RSS from my cold head hands. He didn't say dead hands. Formats change, but owning that single provenance chain has enormous value. And I'm merely suggesting that when or if you make decisions about making the leap, just not into subscription content, but into multiple balkanized walled gardens for that content, don't undervalue what you're giving up.
Tom Webster had a great point. Huh? Wait, what? That phrase makes me nervous.
So there we go.
Well, I don't think it makes you nervous, but I think I agree with the premise of it. I think owning your subscription off of your own platform or one that's more open, right, based on RSS. Yeah. I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't do that. Even though you're doing it with Apple.
Apple's not making you move your free show.
Right.
Matter of fact, they still require an RSS feed.
Yeah, I mean, you can create
a
something
private
special
show, a
for
premium,
this, right? I mean, you don't have to take your show, your full show that you're doing right now. You could do a bonus show, or you could do something special for everybody. You don't have to do it just for Apple. You can do it for Spotify. You can do it for Apple. You can do it off of a premium hosting platform like you and I support out there, that's available on Overcast and Pocket Casts and all these platforms,
right?
Not just Apple or Spotify.
And I think if I'd have been Tom writing this article, I would have said, you have the ability today to go premium on your .com without using Apple or Spotify.
Right.
But Rob, so many podcasters today aren't building a brand on their own website. So therein lies the problem. Again, it goes back to it. They're going to migrate where it's easy, and easy is now going to be Apple, and easy is going to at some point be Spotify. And although you're going to have additional publishing steps to put your premium content over there,
Though, Todd, I think serious podcasters are looking at getting their own websites.
Well, I think
I think that there's a lot of tire kicker podcasters that probably won't and don't need to. But it's one of those things that I think the research is showing the importance of search in the discovery of podcasts. So I think all the evidence points to the power of your own website off of your own custom domain. I guess what it gets back to is the SEO aspects of this is also very important. There are platforms out there that can help you have a website, like WordPress.com, or you can get your own WordPress instance. There's Squarespace. There's other ones out there. I'm not necessarily recommending Squarespace or Wix or any of these because I don't know that they're really that great with SEO or podcasting, frankly.
But so, the challenge still remains is that if you, and I'm just going to put it frankly,
right,
there are customers that are ours at Blueberry that publish at blueberry.com, and they have a landing page on blueberry.com. That's a percentage of the customers. There is a larger percentage, much larger percentage, that have their own .com that use PowerPress. With
Right.
you guys, there's a percentage of shows that publish on Libsyn. They have a Libsyn landing page. That's all they have. And then there's a percentage that have their own websites.
Right.
The problem comes in is when you have both. When you have, we're not going to use Libsyn as an example, but let's say you go over to Podbean and you're publishing on Podbean and you have a site over there.
Right.
Then you decide to put your own .com up and have that content posted over on your .com. Then you have a problem because who's the authority? Who's the publishing authority? Who does Google consider the publishing authority for your show?
Well, the authority is going to be, I would think it's going to be the custom domain, right? That's what Google is going to prioritize, right?
Well, I'll let you do your own search test, and I know that is not the case. At least,
Well, I mean, you're right from the perspective of domain
if you cut
dominance, right?
if you cut and paste what you have posted on your hosting provider's website into your blog, you have duplicate content now. So the secret is, whichever site is prominent, but the problem is
What's
then
the
you
strength of the domain, right?
well, also it ties back to where your feed's at. So your
Right.
feed is going to potentially push you into your hosting provider being dominant. And this is so. Just let me be square. This is not a problem. Just this is a podcasters have to make correct decisions for their shows.
Right.
And oftentimes they don't know. They see what's easy. And I had someone was using another service. Contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm trying to use PowerPress with my website." I'm like, "Well, why?
Right.
You've already got that service. Just take the embed from your service and put it on your site. You don't need to use PowerPress." He said, "Well, I want to have my site be the authority." I'm like, "Well, then you got to change some things."
Right.
And people don't understand the value. Those that do.
Right.
But there's a huge, Rob, there's hundreds of thousands of podcasters that don't understand the value of that. But
Right.
for those that do, they're going to win the Google search engine game.
Well, and if you're a podcast hosting platform, you want to provide something for your
For those that
podcasters,
for
right?
those that don't have a website, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, I think oftentimes it gets positioned where the podcast hosting platform that provides these pages is somehow a bad thing. It's more to do with
The
providing
podcaster.
them something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to have something out there if you're not willing to build a website. And a lot
Right.
of people just aren't willing to invest the time or willing to invest the money, frankly, to get their own website built. That's a
Well-
challenge. And I know that there's companies out there in the podcasting space, like Captivate and yourself. I mean, I think the Blueberry platform is certainly trying to work with this as well to offer good podcast websites.
Well,
And-
it's turnkey, for here's the thing though. So let's just make sure full disclosure here. We
Right.
offer a free WordPress site to every hosting customer. We still have customers that publish just on our blueberry.com publisher and don't use the free WordPress site. So there is
and is the free WordPress site, is that always off of a custom domain, or can
No.
that be off of a Blueberry domain?
it's off a Blueberry domain, off a blueberry.net domain.
It is. Okay.
But
Right.
I won't talk about
But you can get one. But
yeah,
you
yeah,
get
you can
custom domain
map a
point
domain to it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think really the thing there is we kind of said, okay, can we at least get people kind of started in the right direction? Because they're not going to read all the documentation. They never do. So can we at least get them started in the right direction so at least there's an easier path to migrate or just map.com to the domain? Is there a better way to do that? Now, again, there's a segment of customers that but we have thousands of customers that have taken a free WordPress site, but at the same time, there's again that segment that never will. And there's varied reasons for that. Maybe it's a company that are on a custom CMS, and they don't, matter of fact, they want their Blueberry provided website turned off. We turn that off so it's not even public, and they just take the RSS feed in the embed and they use it strictly as a tool. Because they know that the search could be affected, so we just turn off the web piece for them if they so desire that. And that's, to be honest with you, I shouldn't even say it, because there's every host should have the ability to turn off the provided website.
Yeah, that's probably reasonable. Thinking about it more.
So,
yeah.
But so it's, if you don't have it's not, the show's always going to be found by Google. You're always going to find the show. That's, it doesn't matter if
it's not found off of your domain, it's going to get found off of apple.com
or Anchor or wherever
Google,
you may be. Your show's going to be found. That's not what we're talking about here. Again, it goes, and we've talked about it on the show enough that people are probably sick of it. But again, it's now you're trying to win the episode discovery.
Yeah, I think the power of it is the episode level,
right?
Is what you're trying to get to.
Yeah. So I don't know how we got on this topic, but
it's an important and relevant topic.
It's on the provenance of podcasting. Yeah,
right. It needs to continuously be talked about. Because
it
is important.
So, Tom, I hope that your article, I hope I influenced you just a little bit over the years of, because I used to be vilified. I used to be vilified and publicly vilified by people for saying, why should I have my feed on my.com? I used to be vilified.
You've conditioned everyone to expect that out of you, Todd. Let's be honest about it.
For 13 or 14 years, I've been vilified, I mean, there was people that hated me for saying that.
I can actually, I sleep at night, and occasionally those words come into my head. That's how embedded it is into my head. Get your own domain name. Get your own website. Only way to do it. Yeah.
Well, it's not the only way.
I'm not opposed to that. I think it's, I've always had my own website for my podcast. So
and again,
how can I argue with this?
It's not the only way, but I'm just going to tell you, you should really consider it.
Right. You should. Really, Todd.
That's right. And there's lots of platforms that now support podcast RSS feeds. For many years it was PowerPress. That was it. Now you've got at least 3 other podcasting plugins. You've got at least one other non-native WordPress platform that supports podcast feeds. There's a few that don't, which is okay. And I'm not even going to mention them. Do your own research. But yeah, I want you to use PowerPress. I have an agenda, but there's lots of choices out there. But the agenda's proven to be a good agenda.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
I remember, who was it? Years ago, someone was telling me, it was for Blog World or whatever we called it before. It was the gang that took everybody's
the New Media Expo.
Yeah, the New Media Expo second owners, or maybe it wasn't second owners, first owner, whatever. Who was it that was in charge of the content tracks that year? Was it
Dave Jackson?
No, was it Dave that year? Because did Dave do it one year?
I think Dave did the last year.
I think Cliff Ravenscraft did one year too.
Right.
I think so. So it was one of those two. I told them, I said, the only advice I'm going to give you is every speaking application you get, there is an agenda behind it. There is. There is some marketing agenda behind it. Not supposed to be, but subtly someone has an angle. And maybe I'm being wrong here and being unfair, but I said, just remember, everyone has an agenda.
Todd, I'm the exception to that. I never have an agenda.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not lying here. I generally don't. So it's more to do with driving ideas.
Oh,
And
Tom is with us.
Tom?
Yes, he says, I'm still back on the G. Tom Webster actually said something I agree with sound clip. I mean, I didn't just fall off the podcast turnip truck here.
Tom, did you hear our little sound clip?
He did.
You did? Okay, awesome.
And just remember, clips are made for people that we adore. So
Right.
if you are, if you're not having a clip played about you, it's because we don't adore you.
Well, that's not necessarily true. We adore
I know,
all of our listeners.
But I have to
Yes.
make people a little jealous out there.
Right. You know that you had made it if there's a sound clip on the
Oh,
new media
yeah.
show, right? Is
Yep.
that what that means?
Right. And Tom didn't need the new media show to make it. He made himself.
That's true. I agree with that point. So I guess Canada's going to come out with some new Edison research. Speaking of
Yeah.
Mr. Tom Webster,
I thought we had another clip too, but I can't remember which one it was. But
I think it.
it's this one right here.
Yeah, I
Don't
think it
eat me,
was a
Tom
prior-
Webster. Don't eat me, Tom Webster.
Yeah, so they're going to have the Canadian.
Yeah, that's on May 13th at 2 p.m. I believe that's Eastern time, Toronto time. So if you want to check that out, it's always been interesting, that research up in Canada. There's a lot of heavy consumption going on up there, especially in the coasts area of Canada. So it'll be interesting to see if we've seen a big jump up there.
My number one call zones from Canada in the past 6 months has been Toronto and Ontario.
Well, I think the research was showing Toronto and British Columbia are the two biggest consumption areas for podcasting
So
in Canada.
I'm just saying where I've been getting calls from is Toronto
Yeah.
and Ontario. Yeah.
Well, Toronto is really kind of a hotbed for podcasting. And I know Canada or British Columbia, it's on the west coast of Canada, is, I think, the strongest listening market. So anyway, I guess we'll find out.
Yep, we
on
will.
May 13th.
And I'd like to see, it's always interesting to see those comparisons,
Right.
between the two
Between
countries.
here, in the U.S. and Canada, and between U.S. and Australia is always an interesting. What is interesting is that there tends to be, at least my perception anyway, there seems to be a pretty strong alliance or similarity between the data that comes out of Canada and the data that comes out of Australia.
Well,
So
all I know is if I had a really strong arm, if I had or maybe if I could really whack a golf ball hard enough, I could almost get it into Canada from here. Now, I'd have to be Superman because it's about 100 miles away, but actually
You
not
can
that
almost
far,
throw a
about
rock
70,
over to-
about 70, 80
in
miles.
Canada.
Yeah.
Right. So, and what else? We should probably mention what's going on with the social audio platforms. It looks like Clubhouse is going to have an Android app this month. I think the date that I've heard thrown around is like the 11th or 12th or something like that is when they're going to not make it public, but I guess they're starting to allow more users of the app. I guess they're still testing it on Android, but that'll be a big change.
Well,
And
I
bet-
haven't been back on Clubhouse since our last time we were on Clubhouse and had that train wreck.
Right. I haven't been doing a lot with Clubhouse, but I did do a session yesterday over there, and I probably do maybe 2 to 3 a week right now.
How do you
So-
do you get paid to do this?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay.
Todd, it's like doing a conference.
Like I said,
It's-
I don't know how you get the time.
I do it in the evening actually, because
Like
most
I
of
said,
them
how
are going on at like 7 o'clock at night
like I
or
said,
8
how do
o'clock
you
at night.
do you leave the house?
No,
I think so. Oh
I
my
just
god.
stay right
I
here
think you do.
looking at my monitor. That's all I do,
I
Todd.
just
That's it.
oh
And
okay.
then Twitter Spaces is kind of blowing up too on
Yeah,
iOS and
they're
Android.
opening it up, but I've yet to
Yeah.
been in a Twitter Spaces that had more than 20 people in it. I see Scoble. That's a name. There's a name from the past. Scoble's been doing stuff. He pops up my feed once in a while, and I go in there, and he hasn't changed a bit. So
Well, why should he, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I've known Robert for a long time. He used to work for Microsoft and been a podcaster off and on over the years. But
I don't even know what he's doing these days, to be honest with you.
he's still working in the augmented AR type of space. So he's still pushing that agenda, which is, augmented reality, virtual reality stuff has been so slow to get mass adoption. It's been like there's been hype around that stuff for a long time. Hasn't really reached scale yet. So maybe it's coming. I don't know. Are people going to get involved in virtual reality, AR? I don't know. Augmented reality? I don't know.
It's expensive.
Well, and I think we're starting to see the beginnings of it, because I believe that we're going to see glasses come from Apple eventually that will layer in digital information over the top of a subscription lens. And I know Amazon has that now with the smart speaker platform. So you can make voice requests of things and have your glasses do it for you in your ear. So you can listen to podcasts through your eyeglasses on Amazon's platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hear a lot of people in the podcasting space talking about that yet.
No. But I'm amazed at the amount of news that is really coming out on a daily basis of entities that I've never heard of before.
Well, James Cridlin has really kind of unlocked the globe.
Yeah.
This is something that I think a lot of new people don't really realize, is how James has really transformed the visibility of podcasting on a global scale.
Although I don't know. He reaches a great percentage of the active podcast space. So I would say every podcast company that's in existence pretty much reads this newsletter. Some of it, I take 2 or 3 pieces out of this thing every week and drop them in our Slack channel.
Right.
As oh, by the way, check this out, because he's doing stuff that I would have to search 25 different blogs on to find. So,
right.
It is an interesting viewpoint that he's, curating he's doing is really, really well. He's basically found all the RSS feeds to subscribe to, I think, to be able to get all this data dug out. Maybe people submit stuff to him as well, but it's just like he
does a lot of deep research into things too, from a technical perspective. I've been impressed how technically savvy he is over the last couple of years.
But
he's really gotten in the weeds.
A lot of people are freaked out over the purchase of Audacity, which made the news. I would have never heard that otherwise. I may have picked up on my tech channels, but it's been acquired by a new company, and so we'll see. I mean, it looks like they're going to remain open source, but
I think they'll probably wind up charging for it. Be my guess.
Well, that would be a big change, because it's been published all these years on the as a GPL open source project. So,
right.
I don't know what the rules are to move that from a open source to paid, or maybe they'll do premium stuff or freemium,
Right. Don't we have a James Cridland soundbite too?
Oh, well, I guess we do. I could probably grab one here. Let me grab a new one. Let's see here. Here. Okay. Okay, we got the same. Here we go.
This is all wrong.
James Cridland.
Oh, here's a better one. Here's a better one.
How dare you?
James Cridland.
So, for some reason, our contributor is focused on Cridland because I got one more.
You have stolen my dreams.
James Cridland.
Wow.
We have one here that I can't play because I think we get popped for a copyright violation.
Oh, does it have some music in it or
Yeah,
something?
it's got some music background, so I'm hesitant to pay that. Especially when we're live on YouTube and other platforms, it will pull us off the air.
Take us down, James Cridland.
So,
And I guess Ricky Gervais is getting back into the podcasting biz.
did he ever leave?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. He certainly hasn't been making any waves over the last couple of years. He's got a new podcast called Absolutely Mental with a neuroscientist and philosopher, Sam Harris, which he's kind of I've heard of that name before, Sam Harris. I'm not sure. He's been around for a while, unless it's a different Sam Harris. I guess it's available May 10th, so it still hasn't been released yet.
Is it going to be? Is it going to be premium or free?
It does look like it will be paid for at $14.99 for the season.
Oh,
Says no word yet whether he's using Apple or Spotify subscriptions, though. It sounds like he's doing like what we were just talking about, is creating his own subscription process somehow with someone.
so has anybody played with this new service called Clean Voice? It removes all your uhs in your recording.
Oh, I heard about that. It was like $3, and they'll go through and scrub your ums and ahs out of your audio, right?
Yeah, so I don't think
I'm curious to hear what that sounds like, if they've done a good job of buffering.
They got a
the
sample.
edits.
They got a sample on their website.
Do they? Can you play a sample?
I don't know if we'll be able to hear it here. Let's see here.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology. This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
Oh, it's not perfect. Did you hear it?
I barely, but
yeah.
it the dangers of this really is having enough space buffer between the words on either side of the ums and the ahs. So if you cut it too tight, then it sounds unnatural.
In the sample where he goes you can hear part of the start, and then they cut the rest of it out. So you guys
Can you hear this, Todd?
No.
You can't?
No.
Okay.
You'll have to go over to cleanvoice.ai for those of you that want to, and you can probably, well, you have to sign up. There is no free trial.
I could probably do it through my iPhone. Let's see here.
See if you can find it. And
Let's see here. Clean Voice.
.ai is the website.
Voice. Oops. Cleanvoice.ai.
I think leaving the uhs and ums, it's fine. Unless you say 800 of them in a show.
Cleanvoice.ai.
AI.
AI. Because there's other clean voice companies out there.
You don't Google it. Just type it in.
I did. Cleanvoice.ai.
Yeah, let me plug my phone in. I might get to it faster. Hang on.
Well, there's definitely other services out there.
All right, I
Let's
found
see
it.
here.
I should be able to play it here. Let's see if this works.
A demo of our Clean Voice technology.
Okay, let me do that again.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
That's before, and this is after.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
So let's do the before again. Let's listen to that.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
So he's got like 2.5 ums in there,
Right.
and here's the after.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
So it still had
It actually left some of that.
Yeah, it did. It didn't get all of it.
Play the after again.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
So it pulled out completely the
first one.
Or
It-
the first one or the second one, do you think?
Okay.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
Okay,
then
demo.
after?
Okay, so let's go again and listen to the after.
This is a demo of our Clean Voice technology.
So,
So it pulled out the first one. It pulled out the first
but it
it-
got it got most of it. There's only a little bit left.
and that's probably what you want, Todd, actually. I don't think you want a hard cut on that. I think you just want to minimize it would be the ideal. Because then it sounds more natural.
But they're going to, of course, here I'm saying but, and
I mean, it definitely sounded better, I thought.
their roadmap is fix rephrase mid-sentence speech such as I think, I believe, and then they're doing beta,
Stuttering, too.
stuttering, and then multilingual filter sounds such as in any language. So
And then rephrase, fix rephrased mid-sentence speech, such as I think, I believe.
right,
Okay.
that's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
So
So
it says $3 for using Clean Voice with one of your files, $10 for 5 files, $15 for 10 files.
So for us, for every show, that's 4 episodes a month, $5 or $10 a month, just to take out the ums. Now I know there's a lot of people that do a lot of editing.
Well, this is probably just the beginning, right?
Of
But-
course.
But what other editing could they do in here?
Well, you see the roadmap.
I know. Besides what they have in their roadmap, is there anything else that's missing?
Well, what I would do is for for using clean voice with one of your files, I would put 10 together and upload all 10 for $3. Make them one continuous WAV file, 10 hours of content.
I know. Is this a standalone?
Yeah,
or
it is.
Do you think it really needs to be just a feature of a
If
hosting
you
platform?
use a good editing tool,
Right.
you
It
can
could be a good editing tool.
you can
feature.
easily see, and once you've edited a program a couple of times,
like an Audacity
or
or
even Audition,
or Audition or a SoundForge or
you can see the uhs and ums easily in the waveform. You just recognize them, and
Right.
it's real easy to go through and pop, and get rid of them.
So this is a business development opportunity for those editor programs or platforms that allow you to record podcasts.
In all honesty, I'll be honest. Audition has so much power that I could use Audacity is the way I edit. The Audition has so much power. I would not be surprised if this is not built in already into something like Audition or Himalaya. Again,
I don't
not.
think it is yet.
I'm not an editor, so
I think this is a play to get acquired, right?
So
this is a startup to get acquired by one of these editing suites.
So any of you that do a lot of editing, does your editing software automate this at all, or let you copy a waveform and find more waveforms to delete in mass?
I thought Descript did that.
But they do. Descript is different type of editing. It's visual. You actually see the
Well,
words.
it's text to.
Yeah, text.
But I thought that there's some process that they're working on that does
Maybe.
similar things to this.
So I know a lot of people like editing in Descript. So
Well, this could save
sometimes a lot of time.
some podcasters a lot of time, depending on how
bad
concerned that they are about these type of audio pieces.
we say stuff in this show is probably annoying to people. We have the phrase that pays. The phrase that pays in pain. So
maybe the next feature, Todd, is to eliminate cliches or memes, meme deletion.
Yeah, potentially. Because on my own show, on my other show, I get feedback all the time. Quit saying that.
I know what they could have in here. It's the elimination of those 9 words, right?
Oh, that's true. So Robert Crandall says in the chat room, he says Isotope RX7. I've got a license to Isotope. It's one of those purchases that you make. It's expensive. I don't know how much I spent for Isotope, and I'm sure I've got Isotope RX6 or 5 or something. If I remember, it's like $300.
Mm-hmm.
And I read about some fancy feature. Paul Figiani was talking about this. He said, you got to have this software. I went and bought it. I used it once.
That's it.
And I've never used it again. It was one of those software purchases that you're thinking about 2 weeks later when the credit card bill comes. You're like, crap, why did I buy that? But if Isotope RX7 removes the well, you just have to, it wouldn't take too long and too many edits of a podcast episode to pay for, and that's a powerful tool. That's for like the super editor.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up, Robert, and sharing.
I guess in Britain, I guess some research come out from Ofcom stating that 25% of UK adults listen to a podcast weekly.
Well, we've jumped the shark.
How does that map to weekly listening in the U.S.? Trying to remember.
I don't have Tom's report loaded here. I should have that thing bookmarked. Because I was saying something to my marketing team this morning about something. I said, you have to go look at Tom's report to get that percentage. It's in there. So I have it in my download folder somewhere. Probably not in this computer.
Yeah, I don't remember. I thought it was less than 25.
I think
it could be more.
I think it's more. But
some reason 27% comes to mind. I don't know why. Tom?
I don't know if he's still here.
He's probably got all those stats memorized. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Rob, I think we're running out of juice here today.
We are?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're digging here. So I don't want to have us dig too deep and dry people out. But
right.
I think we're close here. But I think that the space is, it's healthy, doing well, growing.
There are now 2.7 million podcasts in the podcast index.
I think there's more than that.
3.7 million?
And I talked to them.
With 319,000 shows having posted once in the last 30 days.
What is their website? Podcast what?
Podcastindex.org.
Oh, because I just went to podcastindex.com. They said you can buy now for $3,395.
Wow. That's a good deal. So he has an index up there of how many podcasts he's got in his catalog.
3.7 million. And
3.729018.
So I got to go now. See, now you're forcing me to go to their Mastodon chat room. It's on the other computer. Probably can't get in here very easy.
says shows published in the last 3 days, 107,000 shows. Shows published a new episode in the last 10 days, 242,000.
I was asking within that group, okay, where are these shows? Where's the breakdown? And they didn't give me a complete answer. They listed the top 10. And of course, Anchor's got like 1.3 million feeds or something like that. And then it listed by number of feeds by service. And it just, I had to go back and say, by the way, the Blueberry number is wrong because of this, this, and this. And they went back and did some more research, and they got her number pretty close to where it should have been. And, but they haven't published a comprehensive list of the breakdown of where these come from. But definitely Anchor had 1.3 million. If you think about, so that means that at least is 1 million dead ones or more. Well, considering that in the last 60 days, 619,000 of those listings have updated, we can be pretty sure that at least 1 million of those did not come from Anchor.
Right.
Because they're dead. But the 3-day total, like you said, 107,000, 10-day total, 242,000, 30-day total, 435,000, 60-day total, 619,000 produced at least one episode. So I was trying to get them to publish their, where the source, because I'm like, where are you finding all these? Because Apple doesn't have 3.7 million listings in their directory. Where are these coming from?
Yeah, and are these duplicates?
I don't think they're duplicates. I think they are potentially no. We're gonna have to
Shows that just haven't submitted to Apple.
Maybe
that could be what it is.
Or they did test and never went further.
I mean, if you look at the number of of these shows that has published even one episode in the last 60 days, it's only 619,000.
Right. And that's actually, I'm surprised about that number being that high.
I mean, which means that 3.1 million have not published a new episode in more than 60 days.
Right. So that means there's 3 million potentially. I don't consider a show dead until they haven't published in 90 days. Or there are series that have stopped or whatever it may be. But
well, if you look at the progression of the numbers, it's basically the numbers are doubling, or actually
a little more than doubling. A little less than doubling.
100,000, 200,000, 400,000, 600,000. So you would think that the next level at 90 days would be 800 and something.
You would think, yeah.
But that may not be the case.
No. But today's the word is but. My day is but day. I keep saying but. 3-day average is 100.
It's hump day, not butt day.
Yeah. So, the 10-day average is the one that's kind of interesting to me, is 242,000.
Yeah, because that takes you out beyond the just barely beyond the 1 week publishing schedule. Right.
If they really wanted,
from a podcaster perspective, that really shows you that your competition is not really
as big as you thought
huge.
It was. Right. And if you break that down by category, you take the 20 some categories that Apple has, then there's really, in a 10-day average, there's probably, I've said this before, there's about 20,000 shows you're competing with.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not that big of a number, considering YouTube channels and blogs and everything else.
All right. Yeah, I think that's an interesting number to think about. Yeah. Which means that it's not too late to get into podcasting.
No. Now, what I want to see is as people start going, it's starting about June or July. I keep hearing lots of rumblings from people saying my office is calling me back May 1st, June 1st, July 1st, August 1st for being required to come back to the office. I want to see if this publishing schedule, we'll have to keep an eye on this, Rob. So this is May 5th. Why don't we take a screenshot of that? In fact, I'll grab one right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we do a show a month from now, we can go back and we can look at these day averages. And if we start to see these day averages drop, if we see these day averages drop after, as a year progresses, we're going to know that people going back to work and getting their life back and going to soccer games and doing summer vacations and going on
Right.
trips.
Right.
I'm going to name this file PII index May 2021. See if I can remember that later and find this file.
I don't know, Todd, what's your thought? Are these numbers a reflection of a healthy medium, or is it a reflection of a medium that's struggling a little bit?
I think it's an indication that podcasting is not easy to grow an audience, and potentially,
Mm-hmm.
and I have other incidental evidence of this, is that my ongoing statement that 50% of shows don't get to episode 7, the remaining 50%, only half of them will get to episode 20 or 22, 23, and the rest will make it for a couple of years, holds pretty close.
Yeah,
So there's
because if
still
you're
a-
looking at a 60-day window on a weekly show,
Mm-hmm.
that's what, 12 episodes.
That's right.
So,
So I think I think it's just still tough to create content, and those that do on a consistent basis, staying consistent in publishing and doing the small things to get their show seen will have success, but you just got to keep grinding.
yeah. I think it's getting really targeted and precise with your content and who your audience is, and really getting clear on what you're trying to accomplish with your show. And
When I talk to people though,
Yeah.
and ask them, what podcast are you listening to? And
Right.
they tell me, and I say, how did you find your podcast? And they tell me. There is some influence that's going on by Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Apple, who they're promoting. There is
Right.
some influence happening there.
oh, sure.
And big shows get bigger for a reason, because they just have bigger reach, and they get more exposure, and they have more money to do marketing and all the things. It's like the rich get richer, right? The bigger shows get
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
So
They have more resources that they can put against.
the key is
Growing.
to grind to get to that point where you have those additional resources to continue to. If Rob, if you and I had a PR firm, I get emails all the time, submissions to one of the websites that I run for submitting, news articles about podcasting, and it's PR agencies, professional, that very, very, very expensive PR agencies that I've dealt with over the years for like Consumer Electronics Show or whatever, that
Right.
they're being paid by the podcaster to publicize, to be a publicist
Mm-hmm.
for their shows.
Right.
Sometimes I get called.
It's true.
So not very many of us are picking up the phone and calling a podcast newsletter publisher or podcast news website publisher and publishing episodes. And again, full disclosure here, podcasternews.com, which we don't try to be an authoritative. We just report stuff we think is cool, is running, and basically I've got independent writers that write for that.
Yeah.
And and it's not as timely as Cridland's site. Cridland's coming up stuff, but we have detail about stuff that's been going on in space. And we
Mhm.
probably publish 20 articles a month, but it's because of budget,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Takes
it's
takes effort, labor, time,
right. And it's
focus. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like any other medium. If you think about television or movies or music, I guess podcasting really isn't any different. What's the percentage? So if you look at the 242,000, what's the percentage of that going into 3.7 million? Is it like 5%?
I'm not on the page right now. You'll have to do that high
Or-
school math.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me either. But
So let's see here. So of the 3.7,
80-20 rule applies here,
Right,
to
right.
some degree. Right.
the question remains that I still am not clear is, okay, where are these 1 million shows? Because Google has said this number kind of corresponds to what Google has said. Where are these shows, where are they and why are they not? Because the question the thing I was proposing to the Podcast Index folks is how many of those 3.7 million listings have more than 10 episodes? And then, let's we got a gross number, but let's narrow the playing field a little bit here
Right.
and say, okay,
Yeah.
and set the barrier level.
Right. Just some quick math that I did. It's only the 242,000 within 10 days is only 15%.
Yeah.
So that means that 85%. It's the 80-20 rule applies. I think if you went out to 30 days, I think you probably get up to that 80-20.
The
rule.
spammers have also figured out that free hosting platforms are a great place to launch a show and then republish blog posts as podcast on their platform.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing this by the thousands.
Right. And it does raise the question, why, is Apple's showing a little over 2 million?
So maybe by those shows that are by the thousands that are just bots creating absolutely worthless content, maybe that's not, maybe the Apple, those aren't even, they're
not even getting added to the
right,
catalog.
right. And maybe the catalog has said, oh, we throw those away. Maybe there is some semblance.
Because Apple is throwing out thousands of shows a week.
Well, the question is, did they ever make it to the listing to begin with? Is that
that's the other part, right?
Right. But a million rejections would be a lot. That's a number I don't even want to comprehend having to curate.
Well, you're looking at least 1 million plus.
Yeah.
Difference between those two directories.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It's a big difference. So I contend, again, where is that content? Where are those feeds coming from? And I know at least 3 million of them, again, are coming from Anchor. And how many of those free shows that are on Anchor are bots? We used to get them before at Podcaster News. They used to submit shows that would be, when we had Podcaster News as a portal, people could submit their shows to be listed there. And it was, I would turn down 20, and this was 2005. I was turning down, 20 bots a day, rejecting them from approval because they were trying to get blog posts as podcast.
Right.
So think about the advancements in 15 years.
Well, and also think about Todd, and this applies to your platform, is that there's still a big chunk of self-hosting
Oh,
podcasts out there,
huge number. Yeah.
right? That are not using Blueberry
Nope.
to host
Nope.
or Libsyn
Nope.
or any of these.
Nope.
They're maybe running your PowerPress
Yep.
plugin, but they're just hosting their MP3s off of their own website.
There's more than 50,000 shows that I know that are, and we're not the only plugin. So we know of
Right.
at least 50,000 shows that are not using anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But 50,000 is a far stretch from a million.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I mean, but
My active PowerPress users are close to 100K.
yeah,
But there's a lot of ones that haven't they quit and haven't updated their website in 2 years too that are inactive. So maybe the number's much bigger than that.
yeah. I don't know if I don't think James has shared, or any of these platforms has shared how many. Maybe Todd, you know this based on Blueberry's directory. What percentage of the total podcast space is shows that are hosted off of their own domain names, just as a baseline, right?
It's really
doesn't-
hard because then you got to
Right.
build a master list. And, you guys have 2 or 3 media URLs you serve from, and so does everyone else.
Right.
So the first thing you have to do is build a master list of all the media URLs. I'm not going to
Yeah,
do
I think
that.
it's a media URL question,
Right,
right? Because
right.
there's standard methodologies that each of the podcast hosts use to create the media file links, and that would be the dominant way, I think, of determining this. But
Yeah,
I don't
people
know
that
if
are
it's
on
worth it.
Libsyn Pro. Yeah, people that are on regular standard Libsyn. Yeah, people that are on Acast that have 5 different media links depending on what level service they have. Megaphone. So there
Yeah,
could
and some of them use CNAME
see names.
redirects on their feed URLs too. So
We've got a
that's-
ton of those.
That's going to hide that
Hide
factor
it.
too.
Yep.
Right.
And some of those C names are done on purpose to hide. They hide who they host with on purpose.
Right.
It's kind of weird, but they do.
Right.
They don't want people to know they're hosting with Libsyn or Blueberry or Megaphone or whoever, so they use, they arrange a C name.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're sleuthing, you might be able to figure it out sometimes, but
I think it's the path. The path would be the way to figure that out, because each of the hosting platforms has a certain path structure to the media files. I know, right? Don't tell anybody that. So, well, Todd, we should probably wrap it up. What do you think?
You're letting all the gooses out today. So
I know we are. We're sharing all of the secrets.
and FeedBurner links have Google URLs, Mike Dell says.
Right. Well, FeedBurner is now, somewhat back in the game, right? So don't tell anybody that.
That's actually a word that should be banished from this show.
Burn that FeedBurner.
Oh
Right.
my God! I would have done backflips if they'd have killed that thing.
Yeah. Right. You would
All
have been happy, huh?
Yes, very happy. All right. Well, we did get to the end, right? Rob Druggist.
I know.
Druggist to the
Kicking and screaming all the way to the end.
yeah. And now let's
Yep.
see here. Can I find our outro?
Our exit. Do we
Yeah,
have,
I don't know
like,
if I found it
like
yet.
exit? So,
Oh, I found it. All right. We're ready to go. So everyone, I'm Todd at blueberry.com. At Geek News is my Twitter address. So definitely send us an email if you've got a comment or secret that you want to tell us. And might want to send to Rob's email because it's not an official. It's Rob. Of course, you can send it to geeknews@gmail.com too. But
Right.
Rob, what's your credentials there?
You can find me on Twitter at Rob Greenlee, and I'm also on Clubhouse at Rob Greenlee, and doing regular stuff over there, and have my own website, robgreenlee.com, as well as you can send me an email if you want. If you want to send it to robg@libsyn.com. And if you have any little clips you want to make for us, or cover art, or anything fun that we can do with our show here, and you feel inspired, please send through.
We're using
Thanks.
these clips just to have a little fun, Yeah. And we're
Right.
going to promise not to overdo it, although I might have done it today. But anyway, we'll leave everyone with this. Thank you for being here. To everyone, take care. We'll see you next time on the New Media Show. Everyone, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
YouTube is way behind today. I'm waiting for it to finish.